Welcome back, everybody. This is, of course, as if it could be anything else. It came from the Workbench, Volume 5, Episode 3, in which we're finally going to get to see this beast move. But first, a small disclaimer, as this small disclaimer is relevant, and I'm a fan of continuity, so I want to maintain continuity. This is the little fella, the MSTCMX. The events, why he is here, the events in this video take place after the conclusion of round 2 of the Invitational. Little fella was in Group E, the last group to run in round 2, and he has already completed his run. And during that run, a mental mindstorm occurred, because it became relatively clear during his runs that what he was lacking was wheel speed. He was built with the highest turn motor that could be found, an 80 turn, I think it's a Racing. And it turned out that in a competitive environment, and Fella has never been in a competitive environment. So it was discovered that he did not have enough wheel speed. We also know someone else relevant to this conversation that has too much wheel speed, and that would be this guy. So basically what happened was they just swapped powertrains entirely. Primarily because that means I didn't have to desolder anything, because the motors were direct soldered. And the speed control that was in Fella was not originally his, so it has a lead for a direct power servo. And I feel like if there's any sort of performance that comes out of this thing, and my hopes are so high that this guy will all but certainly receive a direct power servo. Now I'm hoping that the change to an 80 turn motor with a 9-tooth pinion is going to lower the gear ratio sufficiently, because the Royal We looked up the numbers on a Capra Gearbox, and the internal reduction is 1.8. We've got 830 pinion and ring, so that's 3.75. So the goal was to get to the smallest possible pinion on the highest possible turn motor. And now, if we look at the gear reduction, that's in the hand. That seems about right. And then this gent might even be a little slower, but that's okay, because another thing that was not taken into consideration when it came to wheel speed when Fella was going through his build process is he was initially built on proper Class 1 KLRs, and then he was later transitioned to these almost certainly fake Dick CPAC mud countries, which worked pretty well, but were a good bit taller. So we needed to get his gear ratio up a bit. So that's little fella, which at the time of this recording, the scores have not even been tabulated yet for Group E. So I don't even know if he's still in it. But if he does advance forward, he will be doing so with a Hobby Park 55 turn motor, and I think everyone will be the better for it. That battery comes out, goes in the safety bag. He's going to get his lid back on and return to his parking garage. So we return to this fellow, who is mere moments away from encountering his first rocks I got to figure out, like, I don't know, maybe a clip or something, like one of those unused Traxxas clips, put another hole, or put it through that bolt hole so that I can get the... I hate these giant balance plugs. And I do think that it's unnecessary to put a strap on as for the battery, because it's really difficult to get that battery out. He's got a little buzzy now, because I have mentioned in other videos, I'm not a fan of 9-tooth pinions. A 9-tooth pinion is effectively no longer round. It is a nonagon. It is a 9-sided object. So we have a little bit of help here, because the way the Capra gearbox works, the pinion doesn't directly drive the spur gear. There's an idler gear in the middle. They did this, I think, in order to get the transmission down as low as possible. But it stands about the same height as a typical TRX4 gearbox. I just think the Traxxas went about it in a smarter way. I mean, theirs doesn't have dig, but it can have 2-speed. Somebody out there needs to 3D adapt a TRX4 gearbox to dig, rather than turn a 2-speed into a dig, if that is a thing. But then the transfer case is on the outside. Anyway, we are going to go and do this, because I could not wait. I have to know how it go. Oh yeah. Yeah, it was effectively silent on the big old 15-tooth pinion. And this will not be a full-blown let's go at it run. I don't know how strong the body is with all of its little, like, contraptions taken off. But at this point, it still stands that this guy is gonna get repainted. So, I don't want to put everything back on. Right now, let's do the rock crawling thing. So here we go. You can't start anywhere other than slick rock, right? Wheel speed still honestly feels a little high, and it's almost like there isn't enough torque. That's a lot of pushover. But we're not really trying to evaluate the tire. I'm trying to evaluate wheel feel. It's got so much wheel speed. All right, I gotta be fair to it though. We need to turn off that throttle curve that I had programmed in. We got to turn that off. Now let's try it clean. A little rub there. I've already cut a little bit off of the fenders. I can't tell if the curve was helping or not. You would expect more drag brake from an 80 turn on a 9-tooth pinion. Yeah, you can see it's not rubbing terribly, but the drag brake definitely has a bit of slide and glide to it, and I don't think the growlers are the perfect tire. Yeah, they are skittering all over. I think I'm getting used to the trigger feel. It's not, I guess I get to a point where I mentally elevate the bar too high, because I almost said, well, it's not terrible. No, I mean, it's definitely not terrible. It's actually quite good. But yeah, the growler it's almost there. Although that wasn't bad. Yeah, just that slide and glide that it's got. And okay, the growler might be a little better at real proper low speed, and I don't have that. This guy relies a little bit more on application of wheel speed. Like, look at, okay, that was nicely done. The dig is working phenomenally. Now let's side hill it. I'm going to stay with curve off for this attempt here. Well, I mean, yeah, that's pretty low. Properly hung up there. I think that front of the chassis is just buried in there. It does not, this guy does not want to roll over, like at all. He can go wheel high and real high. It's simply the lack of reduction in that gearbox that I guess I'm just gonna have to get used to. I mean, honestly, I'm hopeful enough that it's looking like he's gonna have to get a proper powertrain. I mean, he does some stuff pretty easy with zero tuning. The shocks came out of the Ziploc bag from Jenny's and went on the rig. No adjustment at all there. There's been no real adjustment to anything. Can he pull this up? I'm coming around on the growlers. Look at that. Come on. And his dig works better than it ever did in a Capra by a significant margin. Because as of this moment, the only thing I wish this rig had more of was torque. I think I'm acclimating to the wheel speed. Let's see how he transitions up out of here. I mean, that after 5 groups, that entry is absolutely powdered. So oh well. I mean, let's try an 80 turn bump. Could I maybe go to an 11? Oh, that's pretty sandy, buddy. God, he digs so good. That is so loose. It's just right under the wheelbase. I brought the scissors so I can cut. I've already cut a little bit out of the front fenders. It needs another 3 or 4 millimeters. If you can get up here. Yeah, these are just not... The growlers are doing... Oh, they're doing... I can't put it into words. They're doing great and not great at the same time. Like, there are moments of brilliance from these tires. And the suspension, wholly untuned. I gotta find out what I gotta do to get this thing to roll. He does not want to roll. And then, like I said, dig. He can dig with the absolute best of them. Yeah, let's get... See, this is a moment where will the tires pull up? Trying to get over that lip. Okay, we're up on that side, but low side still doesn't want to push. I think the tire getting caught in the body isn't explicitly helping. It's like right in there. Perhaps the nature of it being a 540, like there's almost not enough torque to push through. So I think the tires are holding him back a little, but I think the motor is holding him back the most. His setup and build seems pretty good. I state readily that math is not my strong suit, so I have no idea what his final drive is. Like I said, 8-tooth pinion, 30-tooth ring gear. He's running a 9-tooth main pinion, and I want to say the spur is I don't know. I think it's a 40, but then there's that idler gear in the middle. Does that idler make a difference? Yeah, look at the roll. He needs an outrunner, doesn't he? Because he just... There it goes. The problem with an 80 turn on a Capra gearbox is that the Capra gearbox effectively there's no torque advantage from the gearbox. So the 80 turn is trying to fight, and these tires just don't quite have it. They're doing well, but they're not blowing me away. Nice low weight, does turn over easy. There's such glimmers of promise. Look, like that. What is that even? That loop there was like he wasn't even trying. And honestly, his dig is outstanding. The side of that tire got in there, and there's not enough sauce to even make it go. So the 55 would have been bad, like real bad. This is imperfect. Like right there, we've got the passenger front bound. There's not enough torque to turn it. all we can do at this moment is grab a different set of tires and try that. We you know, there are no spare Outrunners around here, and he would need the lowest KV that we could find. Zoidberg's on a 900. I think he could benefit from lower than that, like a 700. However, 700 on 4S, 600 on 4S. I couldn't even, like, it was stalling out in reverse. I'm going to have to find out how hot that motor is. Are we over torquing the 80 turn to death here? But man, it'll go. So this is another issue to consider. Is it the motor or is it the tires? Like, are the tires not suited, or are the tires not getting to do their work because the motor can't manage this? Also, I legit just burned myself when I flipped it over. That motor. The drive back to the bench should have actually given it a few moments to cool off. Let's see how bad it is. Oh, it's not too bad. I guess it did have a few moments to cool off. 140. It's cooling off pretty quickly. When I grabbed it, yeah, wow, how is that 140? Like, I know what 140 feels like. Is it because it's too shiny? No, I'm not reading any higher than around 140. Oh, there we go. There we go. So it is too shiny. On the brushes, we're seeing a peak of 182. I think this proves fairly conclusively that the 80 turn is not up to this task. The lack of torque multiplication from the gearbox, I guess, just means that the 80 turn is just doing all the work by itself. And it just can't do it. I can't continue. When I just picked it up, I went like this. I can feel the heat from there. That's the hottest I've gotten a motor in a long, long time. I mean, I know it's not above 210. No, it just beads off. But boy, that water is hot. So, there you have it. Does he have potential? Absolutely. Does he need a different set of tires? Probably. Does he need a different motor? 1,000% yes. And all that remains in the bin is the Rudog 16 turn 5 slot and something else. I think this is I think it's a 27 turn. I think when I was doing the cheap motor test, I bought a 27 turn and a 35 turn, and the 35 turn is in Ironside, so I think that's the 27 turn. If memory serves, and once again, I'm not good on the math, I think a 16 turn 5 slot will be slower than that? Maybe? Gee, hi. I'm pretty sure I shortened the life expectancy on this guy. He's down to about 150 after this amount of time. I think it's, if this guy continues forward, it's probably going to have to be an Outrunner, or if I can find, no, it won't even fit. I was going to say if I can find an old 1200 kV Fusion, but this guy is built for a 540. Like, there's the amount of room between there and there. And yeah, I grab hot stuff all the time. That motor is hot. So that will bring an abrupt end to this one. He definitely shows promise. I think the shocks need, like, when they come from Traxxas, they come built okay in their RTR formats, but never really full of oil all the way. So I think they need a little bit of oil shot into them, but there's no rush on that. It came from the workbench. Volume 5, Episode 3 is done, and Episode 4 is somewhere in the future because, well, probably outside the Festival of July. I'm bouncing off the spending limit for the month, and honestly, I can't remember buying very many things. I bought a little thing here and a little thing there, and there's still a servo on the way, and I had to get those shocks, and, you know, it's here, it's there, it's everywhere. So thanks for watching this one, everybody. I think this little guy will come together as a community and arrive at a name. The one that keeps popping into my head, because yes, there's a bit of a saber-toothed tiger look to him. If we'll all remember back to Ice Age and that dumb squirrel and his dumb acorn, I don't know. Something about his nose, something about his little face gives me a real Scrat vibe, which is, so far as my memory serves me, the name of that dumb squirrel trying to bury that dumb acorn. So that's it for this one. I would say tune in for the next one. Tune in for the next one. But when the next one of this series will occur, I don't know. It might be a minute. So that'll do it for this. Be sure to have a good one, everybody. Whatever day you watch this on, have a good that day. Have a good the day after. Go out, do some wheeling. Try to stay out of the heat wherever you may be. And we all look forward to seeing you in the next one.